Hi there! Welcome to Tiff Reads Books. I'm Tiff and I read books and then I talk to you about them. And this is a new setup. Maybe I should like stand over here so you can see more of my shelves, or try to stand in the middle. I don't know, man. My chair kept falling and I had to change something, so this is what we're changing. Second thing is it's loud out there today. I don't know why. Normally this is a quieter time of the day, but we're gonna roll with what we have. So, this is my January TBR. I have already read one book and talked to you about it a tiny bit in a vlog, but I'm gonna tell you a little bit about it without giving you like my opinions, because this month is January. So we're gonna start with all of the arcs that I'm going to read in digital form that I got from NetGalley. So these are all releases that are coming up this year. So the first one we're going to talk about is Court of Wanderers by Chupeco, which is the sequel to Silver Under Nightfall, which follows a Reaper, which is a vampire hunter. Remy Pendergast is his name, and he is the son of a duke. And in the world that he lives in, vampires are just a part of reality. Everyone knows they exist. They're not this like, do they exist? It's just in everyone's dreams type of creature. They exist and they have political impact. We're following two vampires who are part of courts that are trying to make a treaty or a pact with Aluria, with the Queen Ophelia, who is the ruler for the world that Remy lives in. As we follow Remy, we get, this is for Silver Under Nightfall, we get informed that there is some sort of infection going on in the vampire world, where newly turned vampires are mutating into these like crazy creatures that are horror shows of like complete body horror monstrosities. And so we get Remy being invited by the two leaders of the court, Song Xiaodan and Zidan Malek, and they are leaders of their own courts. And they bring Remy into their fold to help him investigate what is happening, and also because they think he's hot. And Remy doesn't necessarily like it in the beginning, but he also does think that they are both hot as well. So we get a little polyamory happening. This is all in the synopsis. This is just my like words for it. The book itself was pretty good, so I've got the sequel, which comes out April 2nd. From S&S Saga Press. This is a crazy bright cover, which I will put up here, and I kind of love it. And real quick note, having watched Castlevania now, I can totally see the inspiration of the art, and I think it's fascinating. So in this one, we continue following Remy, following Xiaodan and Zidan Malek. He calls him Zidan most of the time, but Remy likes to call people by their last names. So his first name is Malek. So he is following, traveling with Xiaodan and Malek to Malek's castle, which is called Fata Morgana. And this is a giant, very dark and emo castle. And Remy spends time there learning a little bit about Malek's history, and then we travel again into the actual, like, what they call the All Priory, where all of the vampire courts meet, and Remy has to learn a ton about vampire politics, at the same time as navigating his new relationship and his feelings towards that, as well as his feelings towards his father. And we're still hunting the big bad from the first book, and we get just reveal after reveal after reveal. So that is the quick synopsis, without too much of my opinions. So that's Court of Wanderers. And the next book, which I'm currently reading right now, is Into the Sunken City by Dinesh Thiru. This is a YA fantasy that is a retelling of Treasure Island, and this is Thiru's first book, his debut. And he says he wrote it on his TikTok. He says he wrote it over like 5 years of writing during naps and like being up in the middle of the night with his kids. He's a stay-at-home dad, and he seems just like a really wholesome person from his TikTok, and I really was like, oh, cute. So I started reading this book not realizing that it was a Treasure Island retelling. The whole time when I was reading this last night, I just had Muppet Treasure Island in my head, and anyway, this is a Treasure Island retelling. And the way that I did not know this until I went to his page, because I skipped over the part that says perfect for fans of. I don't read those bits when I read synopses. I just jumped into the synopsis. So we're in the future after climate change has sunk the world, which the climate change anxiety for me, when I tell you how much I loved the Light Pirate last year because of the climate change anxiety. Okay. And I don't like underwater. It stresses me out. So them like talking about diving and stuff, I'm like, but also like loving the visuals. Like, I love sea creatures. I'm terrified of dark water. It's such a weird thing. All right. So this is in the slowly sinking city of Coconino, Arizona. The days are long, the money is tight, and the rain never stops. For Jin Haldar, this life is nothing new. Ever since her father died in a diving accident, she's barely made ends meet for her and her younger sister, Thera. Enter, I'm not going to say this character's name because we just call her the pretty one until her name is revealed. So I really wish the synopsis would say enter the pretty one, because I liked her name reveal. I was giddy about it because I read that first synopsis, that first paragraph of the synopsis, and went, I'm reading this book. So, plus the cover got me, okay? The cover got me. So, we get some tension between Jin and her ex-boyfriend, who has joined the Coast Guard. Essentially, we mostly have people joining the Coast Guard and the Navy, and conscription is essentially necessary. But you can pay a conscription tax and not be conscripted, as long as you can continue to pay that tax. So for Jin, it's very difficult. She has custody of her 14-year-old sister, so she's trying to be a guardian and run an inn and manage to pay this tax, and that's why she takes on the pretty one, who she thinks is maybe a pirate, and a little unsavory, but she takes her on anyway because she got money. Okay, so talking about the ones that I have not read, but I did discuss a couple of them in my horror books that I'm looking forward to. So let's start with the graphic novel. This is one that I'm not quite sure about. This is called Hound, and it's by Sam Romesburg and Sam Freeman. The illustrators, do I really have to go to the other one? I will put the illustrators' names up here because the publisher's page has them, but NetGalley does not. So there's an illustrator and a letterer for this as well. And the cover art is kind of what got me. This is a historical horror, and I'm wary about that because it's got a military, it's set during World War I. Military stuff doesn't always work for me, so we'll see what happens. So this is set during World War I. A young soldier is assigned to one of the most deadly areas along the Western Front. However, he finds the greatest threat to his life is not with the enemy, but with a cult formed by his own men. Cults and horror, they work for me, so I'm not sure how the rest of it's going to go. So I'm hoping to do this one next. Okay, after that, can I sort these by pub date? Yes. Okay, so sorry. This is me trying to figure out how to use NetGalley while I'm talking to you. That's why there's a nice glow on my face. I should probably turn this brightness down, but it's still bright, doesn't matter. Fathomfolk comes out February 27th. Open place. This is a fantasy set in the semi-submerged city of Tiankawi between humans and the Fathomfolk who lives in its waters. So we're getting a little mythology. We're getting something that's not European fantasy. This gloriously imaginative debut, so another debut author, fantasy inspired by East Asian mythology and ocean folk tales, is a novel of magic, rebellion, and change. So with the rebellion, I was hoping to get some politics. This is not YA, this is an adult fantasy. It says, welcome to Tiankawi, shining pearl of human civilization and a safe haven for those fleeing civil unrest, or at least that's how it first appears. But in the semi-flooded city, humans are quite literally on top, peering down from shining towers and aerial walkways on the Fathomfolk, who are sirens, sea witches, kelpies, and kappas, who live in the polluted waters below. I'm not going to read the rest of the synopsis because that alone cinched it for me. You can check out more of it. This is going to be published by Orbit Books, and the author is Eliza Chan. It's The Haunting of Velkwood. So I'm going to try and read these in pub order, so that way if I do get behind, I can, if I don't finish them this month, I can still get them done before they come out and make sure that I talk to you about them so that you, if you're interested in them, can go and look at them. So The Haunting of Velkwood by Gwendolyn Kiste. This is a thriller horror that says it is also queer and a bit sci-fi. So, This one sounded interesting to me. This is on my most anticipated horrors that I'm looking for. From Bram Stoker award-winning author Gwendolyn Kiste comes a chilling novel about 3 childhood friends who miraculously survived the night everyone in their suburban hometown turned into ghosts. Perfect for fans of Yellow Jackets. I kind of don't like that publishers are doing this. Perfect for fans of. Just let people figure it out. Like, I don't know. If that works for you, great. It doesn't work for me. Because I'm like, well, I don't know if I like that show. So if I don't like that show, will I not like this book? Like, anyway. Velkwood, the Velkwood vicinity was the topic of a cult theorist. So a cult, which is different than cult, but a cult, which I also like. Tabloids, 1-hour documentaries, and even some pseudoscientific investigations, which I also like. If you watched my last weekend's vlog, Rin Chupeco's The Sacrifice has one of those ghost hunting shows, and I was like, yeah, yes. Because I love when we like talk shit about ghost hunting shows, even though I devour ghost hunting shows, or I used to anyway. Let's see. Pseudoscientific investigations. As the block of homes disappeared behind a near impenetrable veil that only 3 survivors could enter, and one has in past 20 years until now. Grey Dog by Elliot Gish. This is published by a small Canadian press called ECW. This one is a subversive literary horror novel that disrupts the tropes of women's historical fiction with delusions, wild beasts, and uncontainable power of female rage. You don't need to tell me anymore. The year is 1901, but I will. An Ada Bird, spinster schoolmarm, amateur naturalist, accepts a teaching post in isolated Lowry Bridge, grateful for the chance to reestablish herself where no one knows her secrets. She develops friendships with her neighbors, explores the woods with her students, and begins to see a future in this tiny farming community. Her past, riddled with grief and shame, has never seemed so far away. Some secrets, some independent women doing shit on their own in an era that was difficult to do that in. I'm here. I'm excited. I have been looking for this one. The cover is like a lot. It's very bright, but I like it. I like the weirdness. Okay, so then I have a novella by P. Djèli Clark, The Dead Cattail Assassins, and tons of people have talked about this one. So hopefully I can knock it out. It's not very long. It's like 200 and something, 208 pages. The Dead Cattail Assassins are not cats, nor do they have tails, but they are most assuredly dead. Nebula and Alex Award winner P. Djèli Clark introduces a brand new world, fantastical, full of gods and assassins. So, I like the idea of assassins. I like the idea of dead assassins. Aveen the Eviscerator is skilled, discreet, professional, and here for your most pressing needs in the ancient city of Talabisi. Her guild is strong, her blades are sharp, and her rules are simple. Those sworn to the matron of assassins, resurrected, deadly, wiped of their memories, have only 3 unbreakable vows. First, the contract must be just. That's above Aveen's pay grade. Second, the most powerful assassin may only kill the contracted. Aveen's a professional. She's never missed her mark. The third and the simplest one, once you accept a job, you must carry it out, and if you stray, a final death would be mercy. When the Festival of the Clockwork King, so maybe some steampunk in here, turns the city upside down, Aveen's newest mission brings her face to face with a past she isn't supposed to remember and a vow she can't forget. The idea of a festival and like the clockwork stuff and assassins sounds fun. It has kind of a horror-y cover, but it's a literary fiction fantasy. So it's called The Deading by Nicholas Belardes. And it says it's Stephen King's Under the Dome meets The Last of Us, which I believe The Last of Us is mushrooms, I think, in this harrowing dystopian novel about the downward spiral of a seaside town that becomes infected by a mysterious ocean-borne contagion. So, a little infection, a little ocean, things that I find eerie and spooky and uncomfortable. If you want to stay, you have to die. In a small fishing town known for its aging birding community and the local oyster farm, a hidden evil emerges from the depths of the ocean. It begins with sea snails washing ashore, attacking whatever they cling to. This mysterious infection starts transforming the wildlife, the seascapes, and finally the people. There's a lot more to the synopsis, but I think that's enough to get you the gist, because that was enough for me. And I'm looking forward to all of these. Honestly, like, I'm so excited about this month. I had to like not look at this list because I kept just wanting to be like, oh, I'll just read that. I'll just read that instead. And I was avoiding all the stuff that I had to read. Okay. 2 left. So in August, Strange Folk comes out. This one I'm not quite sure about. I picked it up. It's a sci-fi fantasy, but also general fiction. So to me, that means maybe some magical realism, I'm guessing. I'm not sure if I'm going to like this one. So we'll find out. We will find out together. Okay. A woman returns to her estranged magical family in Appalachia, where a conjuring meant to protect the community may have summoned something sinister. In this lush, shimmering, and wildly imaginative debut novel, perfect for fans of Alice Hoffman, Deborah Harkness, and Sarah Addison Allen. Lee left Craw Valley at 18 without a backward glance. She wanted no part of the generations of her family that tapped into the power of the land to help heal their community. So, awakening long dead things sounds a little eldritchy, and we'll see. This has about a 4-star rating from 99 reviews so far. I'm guessing it's the cover that got people, because it's the cover that got me. Okay, last one, and this one I've seen so many people on Instagram talking about, and like I was excited when I picked up an ARC because that cover, can you? Because I can't. Okay, A Dark and Drowning Tide by Allison Saft. This is a sapphic sci-fi fantasy. It is dark academia, and after reading Babel, where is she? She's over there somewhere. After reading Babel, I was like, okay, I do like dark academia, because I did not like A Study in Drowning, but that wasn't dark academia. That was more gothic. I don't know why it was pitched as dark academia. I have lots of opinions about A Study in Drowning. I'm going to let them go. We're not going to talk about them right now. We're talking about this one, A Dark and Drowning Tide. So lots of drowning in my TBR for this month. Maybe I should have read all of the drowning and the water theme ones together in a vlog, but I'm not going to because I've already started. Okay. A sharp-tongued folklorist must pair up with her academic rival to solve their mentor's murder in this lush and enthralling sapphic fantasy romance from the New York Times bestselling author of A Far Wilder Magic. I have not read anything from this author before. This is a new author for me. But if I like this, I will be picking up other things. Lorelei Kushiel, a folklorist with a quick temper and an even quicker wit, is on an expedition with 6 eccentric nobles in search of a fabled spring. The magical spring promises untold power, which the king wants to harness in order to secure his reign over the embattled country of Brunestad. Lorelei is determined to use this opportunity to prove herself and make her wildest, most impossible dream come true: to become a naturalist, able to travel freely to lands she's only read about. So, that, honestly, those are my Januaries. I'm sorry that I talked about them for so long, but I did. Okay, so audiobooks. I always read audiobooks with my monthly TBRs because I am in the car a lot, I'm in the office a lot, and with the way that my office work works and my lab work works, I have plenty of free time and brain space to be able to just listen to books. So a lot of times I will listen to YouTube videos or podcasts, but I've started picking up audiobooks. So my goal is to continue my Stephen King rereads, but first I am reading Kushiel's Dart. This is a fantasy romance series that my boyfriend has been begging me to read, to the point where when he described it, I just kept calling it the spy sex book, and I was like, why do you want me to read this? And then I saw Beautifully Bookish Bethany talking about it, and she said it was actually like a really good representation of sex work and politics, and I was like, politics? And sex work positive. So I was like, okay, but I've started it. So we are following Phaedra, and Phaedra is a young child in the beginning of the book, which makes me a little squeamish, considering she is in essentially a court that is a brothel, and she is being trained to be it reminds me of Firefly, of the consort in Firefly, of like what it was like, a whole guild of sex workers basically, and they were raised to work with nobles, and along the same lines of like the Bone Witch, but has this like with the Ashas being trained to like entertain and regale and be like, you know, proper members of upper class society, but that didn't have the sex work, and this one does. So she's young and she's being trained, and that's kind of where I'm at. I do not know the entire synopsis, so I can't give it to you, because I'm just kind of going in knowing that. And That's where I'm at with it. The audio narrator is not my favorite. I'm just reading the free version on Audible, the one included with my membership. I think there are other audio versions. This is an older one. This book came out in 2001. It is an older book, so I'm expecting that there will be things that I will not like, especially since I'm apparently picky and I'm currently getting downvoted into oblivion on Reddit for saying I don't like The Great Gatsby. So I'm going to say it here. I don't like The Great Gatsby. I think all the characters are insufferable. It's just a bunch of rich people running around getting drunk and cheating on each other. And I understand that the point of the book is that these people are horrible, but that doesn't mean I want to read about them. I did not enjoy it. So, same with Picture of Dorian Gray and 1984. The people were horrible and I didn't want to read about them. That's fine. If you want to read about them, read about them. Anyway, moving on. Other audiobooks, my 2 Stephen King rereads that I want to do this month. I think I'm going to go with Winter Theme because it has been warm as shit here and I would like some cold. So I'm going to do Misery and The Shining. So, because I have not used my Audible credit yet, so I will have 2 this month. So The Shining and Misery, and hopefully I can get through those because the Kushiel starts like 31 hours and I'm pretty sure The Shining is up there. And I think Misery is probably not as high. I'm going to guess Misery somewhere around the 15-16 hour mark because Misery I think is a little bit shorter than The Shining. And yeah, so Kushiel's Dart is a lot. I'm only like 2 hours in, I think. So I've got a lot to do because we're on the 3rd day of January and I still have all of that to do. So that is where I'm at for my TBR. That is 10 physical books and 3 audiobooks. There is probably a chance I will add in some more audiobooks. As far as updating you, the goal is every Sunday I will post a wrap-up of which arcs I read that week and what I thought about them. So I'll give you again a synopsis and my thoughts and remind you of the publication dates and where you can find the books. So if you have read any of these books, if you have arcs of them and have read them, let me know without spoilers, please, because I'm curious, and let me know what you think of them. If you have other audiobooks like that you think I need to listen to next month, hit me up with them in the comments. I'll tell you if I've read them or I'll check them out. I will see you again this week, and if you like this video, please like it. If you have anything to say, please add it, and if you want to see how this month goes with these arcs, give me a subscribe and you'll hit the bell and you'll get those notifications. So I will see you soon.